Have you ever looked at someone speaking and thought, wow, they sound like a true leader? Maybe their words were simple, but still, everyone listened. Maybe their voice was not loud, but it was strong. Maybe they did not know everything, but still, people trusted them. And then you asked yourself, why can't I talk like that? I know the feeling. You want to be heard. You want respect. But when you speak, sometimes your voice shakes. Your words break. People look away, and you feel small inside. It is not that you don't have ideas. You do. You have dreams, thoughts, and things you want to share. But the problem is, when you open your mouth, the power you feel in your heart does not always come out in your voice. You are not alone. Many people struggle with this. We are afraid to say the wrong thing. We are afraid to look weak. We think leadership is only for special people. But here is the truth. Leaders are not born. Leaders are made. And the way you talk can make people believe in you or ignore you. Comment if you've ever felt this way. Because today, I will show you how to talk like a leader. Not with complicated words, not with fake confidence, but with real strength, real clarity, and real connection. By the end of this video, you will not just speak English. You will speak in a way that makes people want to follow you. You will learn to speak with calm, with courage, and with heart. That is the true language of a leader. Chapter 1. Every leader begins with silence. Before they speak, they face the same fear that you and I know so well. The fear of not being good enough. The fear of saying the wrong word. The fear of being laughed at or ignored. I remember when I first tried to speak in front of a group. My hands were cold, my voice was thin, and my heart was beating so fast it felt like everyone could hear it. Inside, I wanted to run, but outside, I stood there, frozen, with nothing to say. Have you ever felt that way? That moment when you know what you want to say, but the words stay stuck inside? That is where many people stop. They believe this fear means they are not leaders. But in truth, that is exactly where leadership begins. Talking like a leader does not start with perfect grammar. It does not start with a big vocabulary. It starts with one small choice. The choice to open your mouth even when you are afraid. The choice to speak one simple sentence, even if your voice shakes. Leaders are not people without fear. Leaders are people who talk anyway. This is the first secret. If you wait until you feel ready, you will wait forever. But if you start speaking before you are ready, your voice will grow. Every leader you admire began with the same fear you feel now. I once knew a man who became a leader in his community. People listened to him, trusted him, and followed his words. But if you had seen him years earlier, you would not believe it. Back then, he could not even ask a question in class. He sat in the back, silent, always hiding. One day, a teacher asked him to stand up and share his opinion. He wanted to say no, but something inside whispered, "Try." His first words were broken and slow. People even laughed. But that was the beginning. The next day, he tried again. The next week, he tried again. Step by step, his voice grew. Today, when he speaks, the room is silent. This is how leaders are made, not in one day, not in one speech, but in many small moments of courage. Here is something powerful you must remember. Your voice has value. Maybe you do not believe it yet. Maybe no one has told you this before. But the truth is, people need your words. They need your ideas, your story, your truth. And the only way they will ever hear it is if you decide to speak. A leader is not someone who knows everything. A leader is someone who dares to speak when others stay silent. Think about this for a moment. What if your one sentence could change someone's life? What if your one question could open a new path? What if your one word could give someone hope? This is the power inside you. You may think your voice is small, but even a small light can shine in the dark. That is why your voice matters. So, the first step to talk like a leader is not about style or skill. It is about courage. Courage is not loud. Courage is not perfect. Courage is a quiet decision you make inside. I will speak, even if I am afraid. Every time you choose courage, your voice grows stronger. And one day, without even noticing, you will look back and realize you have become the leader you once dreamed of being. Chapter 2. When you hear the word leader, maybe you imagine someone standing on a stage, speaking to a big crowd. You might think of famous people, presidents, or CEOs. But here is the truth. Leadership begins in small places. It begins in your daily life. You do not need a big stage. You do not need thousands of listeners. You can talk like a leader in your home, in your school, in your office, even with just one friend. Because leadership is not about numbers. It is about presence. It is about the way you make people feel when you speak. I remember watching a woman who worked in a small shop. She was not rich, not famous, not powerful, but every customer who came to her shop left with a smile. Why? Because she spoke with respect. She spoke with calmness. She spoke like a leader. Her words were simple, but her voice carried trust. When she said, "Don't worry, I will take care of it," people believed her. That is leadership. It is not about position. It is about how you make people feel safe, respected, and valued when you talk. You see, many people think they must use big words to sound smart. They think they must copy someone else's style to sound strong. But real leadership is different. Real leadership comes from being yourself. A leader's voice is not heavy with complicated words. A leader's voice is clear, simple, and honest. When you talk with honesty, people listen. When you talk with respect, people trust you. And when you talk with calm courage, people follow you. Here is something surprising. Silence is also a part of talking like a leader. A true leader does not rush. They do not throw words like stones. They pause. They listen. They breathe. And then, when they speak, their words land with power. Imagine this. Two people are speaking. One is fast, nervous, and full of empty words. The other speaks slowly, clearly, with pauses. Who do you listen to? Who do you trust? The one who takes time. The one who makes each word matter. That is the secret of presence. Think about the last time someone spoke to you with real attention. Maybe they looked into your eyes. Maybe they listened without interrupting. Maybe their words were simple but full of care. Do you remember how that felt? That is what people need from you. They need you to be present. They need you to listen, to pause, and then to speak from the heart. A leader's voice is not only in their mouth, it is in their eyes, in their face, in their calm body. When you speak with respect, when you stand with calm, people feel your strength before they even hear your words. That is why learning to talk like a leader is not only about language, it is about your whole presence. So, when you speak next time, remember, you don't need to impress. You don't need to copy. You only need to be clear, calm, and true. This is how people will trust you. This is how your words will have weight. This is how you begin to talk like a leader. And here is a powerful reminder. You already have everything you need. You do not need to wait for the right time. You do not need to wait for someone to give you permission. Your leadership begins the moment you decide to be present, to be honest, and to speak with care. That is when people will start to listen, not to your grammar, not to your vocabulary, but to your voice, your truth, your heart. Chapter 3. There is one thing that separates leaders from everyone else. It is not money. It is not power. It is not even talent. It is clarity. A leader speaks in a way that everyone can understand. They do not hide behind difficult words. They do not confuse people with long, heavy sentences. They make things simple. And because they make things simple, people listen. I remember sitting in a classroom once where two people were speaking. The first person used big words, complicated grammar, and long explanations. Everyone was lost. Nobody really understood. Then another person stood up. They explained the same idea, but in short, clear sentences. Everyone's eyes lit up. Everyone nodded. And in that moment, the second person became the leader. Not because they were smarter, but because they made people understand. This is the lesson. When you speak, do not try to sound important. Try to be clear. If your words are easy to follow, people will follow you. If your words are heavy and confusing, people will walk away. Clarity is leadership. Think about it. Who would you trust in a storm, the person shouting long, complicated directions, or the one saying, "Go left, hold my hand, stay calm"? You would choose the one who is clear, because in moments of fear, people need direction, not decoration. But here is the challenge. Many of us are afraid that if we speak simply, people will think we are not smart. We think, I must use big words to impress them. But the truth is the opposite. People respect the one who makes things easy. Simple does not mean weak. Simple means strong. The greatest leaders in history spoke with simple words. Words that a child could understand. And that is why millions followed them. So, how can you practice clarity? Start by cutting out extra words. If you can say it in 5 words, do not use 10. Use strong, everyday words. Speak in short sentences. Imagine you are explaining to a child or to a friend who does not know much English. If they can understand you, everyone else can too. That is the sign of a leader. Here is something powerful. When your words are clear, your listeners feel safe. They do not have to guess. They do not have to doubt. They can relax and trust you. And trust is the foundation of leadership. Without trust, no one will follow you. With trust, people will stand by your side even in hard times. And trust begins with clear words. Think about your own life. Have you ever been in a situation where someone explained something to you so clearly that you suddenly felt calm? That is the feeling you want to give others when you speak. You want them to breathe easier. You want them to feel, yes, I understand. I know what to do. I trust this person. That is the gift of clarity. So remember this. To talk like a leader is not to speak more, but to speak clearly. Do not try to impress. Try to connect. Do not try to show off. Try to show the way. People do not need your difficult words. They need your clear direction. And once you give them that, they will begin to see you as a leader even if you did not see yourself as one before. Chapter 4. A leader's voice is not only about what they say, it is also about how they say it. The same words can feel weak in one voice and powerful in another. This is why tone matters. This is why energy matters. If your voice is too soft, people may not hear your message. If your voice is too harsh, people may resist it. But if your voice carries balance, calm, and strength together, then people will listen. I remember a time when I met a young teacher. She was nervous, but she spoke with a calm tone. Her words were not loud, but they had strength. She did not rush. She gave time for each word to land. And because of that, her students listened. They respected her, not because she shouted, but because she spoke with calm authority. This is the power of tone. Leadership is not about volume. It is about presence. When you talk like a leader, your tone says, "I believe in what I am saying." People feel your confidence before they even understand your words. Have you ever noticed this? Sometimes you do not even understand the language someone is speaking, but you can still feel if they are strong, weak, or afraid. That is because tone carries emotion, and emotion is universal. Here is something important. You can practice this. You can train your voice to sound steady. Stand in front of a mirror and speak. Slow down. Breathe deeply. Let your words come out with calm rhythm. If you speak too fast, people will feel your fear. If you speak too slow without energy, people may feel bored. But if you find balance clear, calm, steady, your voice will carry leadership. Think about a time when someone calmed you down with their voice. Maybe you were afraid and they said, "It's okay, I am here." Maybe you were lost and they said, "Don't worry, follow me." Their words were simple, but it was the tone that gave you strength. That is the secret. Leaders use their voice to transfer calmness and courage to others. Sometimes we think leadership means being loud, but many of the strongest leaders are not loud at all. They speak with a steady tone that makes people lean in and listen. This is the magic. When you shout, people step back. When you speak with steady confidence, people come closer. And when people come closer, they begin to follow. So, here is your challenge. Pay attention to your tone. When you speak, ask yourself, do I sound calm? Do I sound steady? Do I sound like I believe my own words? If the answer is yes, then people will hear not only your words, but your heart. And that is what makes a leader. Remember this line. People may forget what you said, but they will never forget how you made them feel. And often, it is not the words, but the tone that makes people feel safe, strong, and ready to follow. That is why your voice matters. Not just the words, but the music behind the words. Chapter 5. When you think of a leader, you may imagine someone giving orders, someone telling people what to do. But the truth is, great leaders do something even more powerful. They listen. Talking like a leader is not only about speaking, it is about giving space for others to speak too. Leadership is a conversation, not a command. And when people feel heard, they begin to trust you. I remember once sitting in a meeting where everyone was nervous. People had ideas but did not share them because they thought no one would listen. Then one person, who was not even the boss, leaned forward and said, "Tell me what you think. I really want to know." That simple invitation changed the whole room. People started to speak, to share, to open up, and suddenly, that person became the leader. Not because of fancy words, but because they listened. This is a secret many people forget. Listening is also talking. When you listen with full attention, your silence speaks louder than words. It tells the other person, "You matter. Your words are important. I respect you." And when people feel respected, they give you their trust. Without trust, leadership dies. With trust, leadership grows. So how can you practice listening like a leader? Start small. When someone is speaking, do not think about your answer. Do not think about what to say next. Just Listen. Look at them. Nod. Give them the gift of your full presence. When you finally speak, repeat something they said to show you were truly listening. For example, I hear that you are worried about this project. Let's find a solution together. Do you see how powerful that is? You are not only speaking, you are building connection. Here is something surprising. Sometimes, the strongest thing you can say is nothing at all. A pause, a silence, a moment to let the other person feel safe. Leaders do not rush to fill every space with words. They know silence can give power to the conversation. Think about it. When you pause before you answer, your words carry more weight. People wait for them. They listen more deeply. Silence, when used with care, is a tool of leadership. Now, let's be honest. Listening is not easy. We live in a world full of noise. Everyone wants to talk, to prove, to be heard. But leaders are different. Leaders create space for others. And because of that, when they finally speak, their words have double the power. Because people know this person listens first, then speaks. And that is rare. That is special. That is leadership. So remember this. To talk like a leader, you must also listen like a leader. Make people feel safe to speak. Make them feel valued. And then, when you share your own words, they will carry the weight of respect. This is how trust is built. This is how voices come together. This is how real leadership begins. And here is the truth you must carry with you. When you listen, you are not only giving respect, you are also learning. Every voice you hear gives you wisdom. Every story you listen to gives you strength. A leader is not the smartest person in the room. A leader is the one who learns from everyone in the room. And the first step to learning is listening. Chapter 6. To talk like a leader, you must learn to speak with vision. People do not follow leaders only because of today. They follow leaders because of tomorrow. A leader's words paint a picture of the future. When you talk, do not just describe what is happening now. Show people where you are going. Show them what is possible. This is what gives your words power. I remember once hearing a coach speak to his team. The team had lost many games. They felt weak, tired, and ready to give up. If the coach had only said, "We must play better," no one would have cared. But instead, he painted a vision. He said, "Imagine the day when you step onto the field and hear the crowd cheering for you. Imagine holding the trophy in your hands. That day can come, but it starts with today." His words were not just about the next game. They were about a bigger dream. And because of that, the team stood up straighter. Their eyes lit up. They began to believe again. That is vision. You see, leaders speak to people's hearts, not just their ears. Facts and numbers may explain things, but vision inspires. When you speak with vision, you give people hope. You make them feel that even if life is hard today, tomorrow can be brighter. And people need that. We all need that. Sometimes one sentence of hope can change someone's whole path. But here's the secret. Your vision must be simple. Do not talk in long speeches full of details. Use pictures. Use stories. Use words that touch feelings. Instead of saying, "We must improve by 10%, say, "We will grow stronger together." Instead of saying, "We must work harder," say, "We will build something we are proud of." Simple, powerful, human. That is how vision works. Think about your own life. Who are the people you remember most? Are they the ones who gave you long, boring explanations? Or are they the ones who said one sentence that lit a fire in your heart? Maybe someone once told you, "I believe in you." Maybe someone said, "You can do it." Those words stayed with you because they were full of vision. They pointed you toward a bigger version of yourself. And this is what you can do too. You may not think of yourself as a leader yet, but when you speak with vision, people will begin to see you as one. Vision is not about being perfect. Vision is about daring to imagine a better tomorrow and inviting others to walk with you toward it. Here is a line to remember. A leader does not only describe the world as it is, a leader describes the world as it could be. When you do that, people will lean in, they will listen, they will follow, because deep inside, every human heart is hungry for hope, and your words can feed that hunger. So when you speak, ask yourself, am I only talking about now, or am I also showing a vision of tomorrow? If your words give people a reason to believe, then you are already talking like a leader. Chapter 7. Every leader learns this truth. Mistakes will happen. Your words will not always come out right. Sometimes you will speak too fast. Sometimes you will forget a word. Sometimes people will misunderstand you. And in those moments, you may feel small. You may think, I failed. I am not a leader. But here is the secret. Leaders are not perfect speakers. Leaders are honest speakers. I remember when I gave a short talk for the first time. My voice shook. I repeated myself. I even used the wrong word, and people laughed. For a moment, I wanted to stop. I wanted to sit down and disappear. But then I took a breath and said, I am nervous, but I really want to share this with you. And suddenly, the room became quiet. People leaned in. They did not care about my mistakes. They cared about my honesty. That day, I learned a lesson that changed everything. People follow your heart, not your grammar. Think about it. Have you ever listened to someone who was not perfect in language, but still inspired you? Maybe their sentences were broken. Maybe their accent was strong, but their passion was real. And that passion touched you more than perfect words ever could. This is what you must remember. Mistakes do not kill leadership. Pretending does. If you pretend to be perfect, people will not trust you. If you show your real self, mistakes and all, people will believe you. Here is something powerful. When you admit your mistakes, people respect you more, not less, because they see your courage. They see that you are human, and humans follow humans, not robots. A leader's strength is not in being flawless. It is in being real. So how can you turn mistakes into power? First, do not run from them. If you say the wrong word, correct it with a smile. If you forget something, admit it and continue. If you feel nervous, say it. You will be surprised how much people connect with you when you are open. Second, learn from every mistake. Each time you speak, you grow. Each time you stumble, you rise stronger. Over time, your mistakes become your teachers. There is also something deeper here. When people see you handle mistakes with calm, they learn how to handle their own mistakes. You are not only leading with words, you are leading with example. You are teaching them that it is okay to be human, okay to be imperfect, okay to try again. And that lesson is more powerful than any perfect speech. So do not fear mistakes. Use them. Let them show your humanity. Let them show your courage. Let them show that leadership is not about being flawless. It is about moving forward, even when you fall. That is the kind of leader people remember. Not the one who never failed, but the one who kept going. And here is a line I want you to keep in your heart. A leader is not the one who never falls. A leader is the one who stands again and speaks. If you live this truth, you will never be defeated by mistakes. Instead, you will grow through them. And people will see you as the leader you already are becoming. Chapter 8. To talk like a leader, you must also learn the power of stories. Facts inform, but stories transform. People may forget numbers, but they remember stories. They may forget long speeches, but they remember how a story made them feel. And when you speak with stories, you touch not only the mind, but also the heart. That is why every great leader is also a storyteller. I remember hearing about a young doctor who wanted to inspire his community to stay healthy. At first, he gave long talks full of medical terms and data. People listened politely, but soon forgot. Then, one day, he tried something different. He told the story of a man who ignored his health until it was too late. He described the man's struggles, his regrets, and finally, the lesson: take care of your body before it is too late. That one story moved people more than all the numbers combined. Why? Because people do not live in numbers. They live in stories. You have stories too. Your own life is full of them. Times you were afraid but tried anyway. Times you failed but stood again. Times you saw something that changed the way you think. These stories are your gold. They are more powerful than memorized speeches, because when you share them, people see your humanity. They feel connected to you. They see themselves in you. And when they see themselves in your story, they begin to follow you. Here is something important. Your stories do not need to be big. You do not need a story of climbing mountains or saving the world. Sometimes the smallest stories are the most powerful. A simple moment from your daily life can carry a deep lesson. For example, yesterday I was nervous to speak English, but I decided to try. I made mistakes, but someone smiled at me. That smile gave me courage. And now I know mistakes are not the end. A story like this may sound small, but for someone listening, it can change everything. When you tell a story, speak simply. Describe what happened. Describe how you felt. Describe what you learned. Do not try to make it too perfect. Just be real. People will not remember every detail, but they will remember the feeling your story gave them. That feeling is leadership. And here is the magic. When you speak with stories, people open their hearts. They see that you are not just talking to their mind, but to their soul. Leaders do not just give instructions. Leaders give inspiration. And inspiration often comes wrapped in a story. Think about this. If you want someone to change, do not just tell them what to do. Tell them a story that makes them want to change. That is how leaders guide people, not by pushing, but by inspiring. And stories are the bridge that connects your heart to theirs. So remember, numbers fade, speeches end, but stories live on. When you talk like a leader, you do not only share information, you share transformation. And you do it through the power of your own stories. Chapter 9. A leader's words are not only about direction or vision, they are also about courage. People look to a leader when they are afraid. They listen most closely when times are dark, when hope feels small, when fear is heavy in the air. And in those moments, the way you speak can lift people up or push them down. To talk like a leader means to give courage through your voice. I remember reading about a group of workers trapped in a dangerous situation underground. The leader did not have food to give them. He did not have a way out, but he had words, and his words gave them strength to keep going. He told them, "We are still alive. We are still together. As long as we breathe, we do not give up." Those words became their light in the dark. They gave them the courage to survive until help arrived. This is the power of leadership in words, not the power to change the world in one moment, but the power to keep hearts alive long enough to see the world change. You see, fear makes voices shake. Fear makes minds close, but courage opens hearts again. And when you speak courage, you are giving people back their power. A leader does not deny fear. A leader does not pretend danger is not real. A leader says, yes, this is hard. Yes, we are afraid, but we can still move forward. That honesty mixed with courage is what people need. Think about your own life. Have you ever felt lost, and then someone said one sentence that gave you hope? Maybe they told you, you are stronger than you think. Maybe they said, this moment will pass. Maybe they reminded you, you are not alone. Those words may not have fixed everything, but they gave you the strength to take one more step. And sometimes, one step is enough to change the whole direction of your life. So, how do you speak courage like a leader? First, speak with honesty. Do not hide the truth. If something is difficult, admit it. People respect honesty. Second, speak with hope. Remind people of their strength, their past victories, their hidden power. Say words like, we can, we will, together we are strong. These are not just words. They are keys that unlock courage in the hearts of people. Here is something to remember. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is speaking even while fear is present. And when you show courage in your words, others will borrow that courage from you. They will feel stronger because you spoke. That is leadership at its heart, not giving people everything, but giving them enough courage to rise again. So the next time you speak, ask yourself, do my words bring fear, or do they bring courage? If they bring courage, even in a small way, then you are already talking like a leader, because people will remember the one who gave them strength when they needed it most, and they will follow that voice not because it was perfect, but because it was brave. Chapter 10. To talk like a leader, you must also learn the power of questions. Many people think leaders only give answers, but in truth, the greatest leaders ask the right questions. A question can open a door that no answer ever could. A question can make people think in new ways. A question can wake up ideas that were sleeping inside someone's heart. I remember being in a classroom where the teacher always gave answers. The students listened, but they never thought for themselves. Then, one day, another teacher walked in, and instead of giving a lecture, she asked, "What do you think? How would you solve this?" At first, the students were shy, but slowly, they began to speak. They shared ideas, they debated, they grew. That teacher became a leader not because she knew everything, but because she asked questions that made her students believe in their own minds. This is the secret. Answers may show knowledge, but questions show wisdom. When you ask someone a question, you give them respect. You say to them, "Your thoughts matter. Your voice is important." And when people feel that respect, they open up. They begin to trust you. They begin to follow you, not because you force them, but because you guided them with curiosity. Think about it in your own life. Have you ever met someone who asked you a question that stayed in your mind for days? Maybe they asked, "What do you really want in life?" Or, "What is stopping you from trying?" That one question can change the way you see yourself. It can make you face your fear. It can push you toward your dream. This is the power of a leader's question. So how can you use questions like a leader? Start by asking simple, open questions. Instead of saying, "This is the way," try saying, "What do you think is the best way?" Instead of saying, "You are wrong," ask, "Why do you see it this way?" These kinds of questions do not close doors. They open them. They do not silence people. They invite them to speak, and in that space, trust grows. Here is something powerful. When you ask questions, you do not lose authority. You gain it. Because people see that you are not afraid of listening. You are not afraid of learning. You are not afraid of voices different from your own. That kind of humility is what makes people see you as a true leader, not someone who pretends to know it all, but someone who knows how to bring out the best in others. And here is the most beautiful part. When you ask the right question, you plant a seed. That seed may not grow right away, but in time, it will. Someone will remember your question, and it will guide them long after your words are gone. That is how leaders shape lives not only through answers, but through questions that make people discover their own strength. So remember this. Answers end a conversation. Questions begin one. And a leader is not just a talker. A leader is someone who begins conversations that lead to growth, trust, and transformation. Chapter 11. There is another secret to talking like a leader. The words you choose every day. A leader's vocabulary is not built on fear, doubt, or negativity. A leader chooses words that build, not words that break. Because words are not just sounds. Words are seeds. What you plant in people's minds with your words will grow hope or fear, courage or doubt, strength or weakness. I remember once meeting a manager who always said, "This will never work. You are too slow. We don't have enough." Every time he spoke, the energy in the room dropped. People worked with heavy hearts because his words were heavy. Later, I met another manager. She used words like, "We can try. You are improving. Let's find a way." Her words were simple, but they lifted people. They made others want to give their best. And because of her words, people followed her with joy. This is the lesson. Leaders speak life, not death. They use words that give energy, not steal it. Instead of "I can't," they say, "I will try." Instead of "This is impossible," they say, "Let's see how we can." Instead of "You are wrong," they say, "Let's look at another way." Do you see the difference? The meaning may be close, but the feeling is completely different. And people follow feelings more than facts. Think about your own life. Has someone's words ever broken your spirit? Maybe they told you, "You are not good enough." And those words stayed with you like a shadow. Now think about someone who told you, "I believe in you." Did those words not give you light, even in your darkest days? That is the power of words. They shape how people see themselves. They shape how people see you. So, if you want to talk like a leader, choose your words carefully. Do not use words that create fear. Use words that create courage. Do not use words that close doors. Use words that open them. Do not use words that push people down. Use words that lift them up. Every sentence you speak is a chance to give strength. Do not waste it. Here is a simple practice. When you are about to speak, ask yourself, will my words build or will they break? If they build, speak them. If they break, change them. This small habit can transform the way people see you, because over time they will realize every time you speak, they feel stronger. Every time you speak, they feel hope. Every time you speak, they feel safe. And that is why they will see you as a leader. And here is something even deeper. When you speak words of hope to others, you also hear them yourself. Your own heart is listening to your voice. If you say, "I can't," your heart grows weak. If you say, "I will try," your heart grows strong. Leaders are not only building others with their words, they are building themselves too. So remember this truth. Words are seeds. Plant hope, plant courage, plant respect, plant strength. And one day, you will see a garden of trust, belief, and leadership growing around you, all from the power of your words. Chapter 12. To talk like a leader, you must also learn how to stay calm under pressure. Anyone can speak clearly when life is easy, but true leadership is tested when things go wrong. When everyone else is panicking, a leader's calm voice becomes the anchor. In those moments, people are not only listening to your words, they are watching your spirit. If your spirit shakes, theirs will too. But if your spirit stays calm, they will find their balance in you. I remember a story about a ship caught in a storm. The waves were high, the wind was wild, and everyone on board was afraid. The sailors shouted, the passengers cried, but the captain stood tall and spoke calmly. "Hold steady. We will make it through." His words were simple, but his calm voice carried strength. That calmness spread. The sailors stopped shouting, the passengers held on, and the ship survived the storm. The captain did not control the sea, but he controlled his voice. And because of that, he saved his people. This is what you must understand. People borrow your state of mind when you speak. If you are anxious, they feel anxious. If you are calm, they feel calm. Your voice becomes a mirror. And a leader chooses to be the mirror of courage, not fear. So how can you practice this calm voice? First, slow down. Fear makes us rush, but when you slow your words, you show strength. Second, breathe deeply before speaking. Breath brings calmness to your body and to your voice. Third, focus on solutions, not problems. Instead of saying, "We are in trouble," say, "Here is what we can do." This small shift changes the whole mood of the room. Think about your own life. Have you ever been in a stressful situation where someone stayed calm? Maybe a teacher during an exam, a parent during a problem, or a friend during a fight. Their calmness became your calmness. This is the secret of leadership. You do not only guide with your words, you guide with your state of being. Here is something powerful. Calmness is not weakness. Calmness is control. It shows that you are not owned by fear, but by purpose. And people trust those who can stay steady when everything around them shakes. That is why leaders are often remembered not for their victories, but for their calmness in crisis. So the next time you face pressure, remember this. You do not need to know all the answers. You do not need to control everything. You only need to control your voice. Speak with calmness, and people will follow. Because when storms rise, the calmest voice becomes the strongest leader. Chapter 13. To talk like a leader, you must also speak with consistency. People do not follow leaders who change their words every day. They follow leaders whose words can be trusted, leaders who stand by what they say. Your voice loses power if it is not steady. But when your words and actions match, your voice becomes a rock that others can lean on. I remember a boy who promised his friends he would help them study for an exam. At first they were unsure, but he kept showing up every evening with his notes and his time. Soon his friends began to trust him. Later, when he spoke in class, people listened. Why? Because he had proven that his words meant something. His consistency gave weight to his voice. That is how leadership works. People test your words. If your words stand, they will follow you. If your words fall, they will forget you. This is why you must be careful with promises. Do not say what you cannot do. Do not speak only to impress. Speak what you truly mean, and then live it. Even small promises matter. If you say, "I will call you," then call. If you say, "I will help you," then help. Every time you keep your word, your leadership grows. Every time you break it, your leadership weakens. Think about the people you trust the most. Are they the ones who make big speeches and break them? Or are they the ones who say little but always do it? Trust is built on consistency, and trust is the foundation of leadership. Without it, your words become empty. With it, even your smallest words carry power. Here is something powerful. Consistency does not mean perfection. You will make mistakes. You may fail sometimes. But if you admit your mistakes and keep showing up, people will still trust you. They will see your honesty. They will see that even when you fall, you rise again. That steady spirit is what makes your voice strong. So when you speak, ask yourself, am I willing to live this? Am I ready to stand by these words tomorrow, next week, next year? If the answer is yes, then speak with confidence, because people will know you mean it. And once they believe your words are real, they will listen to you not just today, but always. Remember this: a leader's power does not come from how loud they speak, but from how true their words are. And truth is proven by consistency. Speak with it, live with it, and you will not need to shout for people to hear you. Your steady voice will echo in their hearts. Chapter 14. If you want to talk like a leader, you must learn to speak with empathy. Empathy means feeling what others feel. It means putting yourself in their shoes before you open your mouth. Too often, people speak only to show their own strength. But true leaders speak to give strength to others. They understand pain, fear, and doubt, and they answer those feelings with words of care. I remember a time when a student failed an exam and felt completely broken. The teacher could have said, "You should have studied harder." That would have been true, but it would not have helped. Instead, the teacher said, "I know you are disappointed. I know this feels heavy, but this is not the end. You can try again, and I will help you." Those words did not erase the failure, but they gave comfort. They gave courage. They gave hope. That is empathy. Talking with empathy does not mean you always agree. It does not mean you hide the truth. It means you speak the truth with care. Instead of saying, "You are wrong," say, "I understand why you see it that way, but let's explore another view." Instead of saying, "Stop being afraid," say, "I know this is scary, but we can face it together. Do you see the difference?" The message is still strong, but it carries respect, and respect opens hearts. People are more likely to follow someone who understands them than someone who judges them. Think about your own life. Have you ever shared your feelings with someone who really listened and spoke with kindness? How did you feel? Safe, seen, valued. That is exactly how leaders make people feel with their words. They create a space where people are not ashamed of their struggles, but inspired to rise above them. Here is something powerful. Empathy makes your voice human. Without it, your words may sound sharp, cold, or distant. With it, your words become warm and alive. People do not just hear you, they feel you. And feelings are what make people move, change, and follow. So, how can you practice empathy in your speech? Start by listening deeply before you respond. Notice the emotions in the other person's voice and face. Then choose words that show you understand. A simple sentence like, "I can see this is hard for you," can open the door to trust. After that, guide them with hope. This balance of understanding and guidance is the true language of leadership. Remember this line: people do not care how much you know until they know how much you care. If your words show care, people will listen. If your words lack care, they will turn away, no matter how smart you are. So speak with empathy. Speak with understanding. Speak with respect for the feelings of others, because when people feel that you see them, hear them, and care for them, They will follow your voice, not because they must, but because they want to. Chapter 15. A leader's words do more than guide people in the present. They also leave a legacy. When you talk like a leader, your voice continues to live in the hearts of people even after the moment has passed. This is why leaders are remembered not just for what they did, but for what they said. Words can echo across years. They can return to someone's mind at the exact time they need them most. That is the hidden power of talking like a leader. I remember a story about a father who always told his daughter, "Be brave, even when you are afraid." At the time, she did not think much of it. But years later, when she faced a difficult moment, those words returned to her. She heard his voice in her mind, giving her courage. That one sentence became her guide through life. This is how leaders live on through their words. Think about it. How many times have you remembered a sentence from someone who inspired you? Maybe a teacher said, "You can do better." Maybe a friend said, "I believe in you." Maybe someone told you, "Do not give up." Those words became part of your story. They shaped who you are. That is the power you also hold when you speak. But here is something important. Legacy is not built with one big speech. It is built with small words, spoken again and again with honesty. Every day, when you choose your words carefully, you are building your legacy. When you say, "I believe in you," you plant courage. When you say, "We can do this," you plant hope. When you say, "I will stand with you," you plant trust. And one day, those seeds will grow into memories that live in the hearts of people forever. This is why talking like a leader is such a great responsibility. Your words are not only for today. They can travel into tomorrow. They can live in someone's future, guiding them when you are no longer there. That is why you must choose them with care. Ask yourself, if someone remembers this sentence years from now, will it give them strength or will it hurt them? If the answer is strength, speak it. If the answer is hurt, change it. Here is something powerful to remember. Leaders are not remembered for how perfect they were. They are remembered for how their words made people feel. Did they give hope? Did they give courage? Did they give direction? If yes, then their legacy is alive. And you too can create that legacy, one sentence at a time. So, when you speak, do not think only about the moment. Think about the memory you are creating. Because one day, someone may whisper your words to themselves in a hard time, and in that moment, you will still be leading them, even if you are far away. That is the true mark of a leader, not just a voice in the present, but an echo in the future. Chapter 16. Now we come to the heart of it all. To talk like a leader is not about sounding perfect, powerful, or clever. It is about being real, being steady, and being full of purpose. When you open your mouth, your words carry your heart. And people do not follow the sharpest grammar or the fanciest vocabulary. They follow the voice that feels true. I want you to remember this. Leadership begins inside you, before it ever reaches your mouth. If your heart is afraid, your words will be weak. If your heart is proud, your words will be cold. But if your heart is clear, kind, and brave, then your words will shine. People will feel them. They will trust you, not because you are perfect, but because you are real. I remember hearing a leader speak in a small room with only 10 people. There was nothing fancy about him. No stage, no microphone, no spotlight. But when he spoke, everyone listened. Why? Because he believed his own words. He spoke with honesty, with calm, and with vision. That is all. And that was enough. It always is. This is the final truth. Leadership is not in your position. Leadership is not in your title. Leadership is in your voice. And your voice becomes a leader's voice when it gives people courage, hope, and direction. You already have this voice inside you. Every time you choose courage over fear, truth over lies, respect over pride, you are shaping that voice. So from today, speak as if someone is waiting for your words to guide them. Because they are. Somewhere, someone needs your strength. Somewhere, someone needs your hope. Somewhere, someone needs to hear your voice say, "You can do this. You are not alone." And when you say it, you are not just talking, you are leading. Remember this line and carry it in your heart. A leader is not the loudest in the room. A leader is the one whose words light the way. If you live this truth, your voice will always have power. Not because it is perfect, but because it is alive with honesty, courage, and care. Thank you, my friend, for staying with me until the end of this journey. You now know that talking like a leader is not about big words, but about clear, honest, and courageous words. It is not about being perfect, it is about being real. So take this lesson with you. Speak with clarity, with calm, with vision, with empathy, and with courage. And slowly, day by day, your voice will grow into the voice of a leader. Subscribe for more motivational audiobooks and stories in easy English. Share this video with someone who needs it. Save this for a time when you feel lost or tired. Your voice matters, and the world is waiting to hear it.